Hello, my name is Jay Carpenter. I'm founder of Desert Blockchain and Desert Blockchain Camps. And this is our monthly session. We're having it on a little bit different date than we normally have. Normally it's on the fourth Wednesday of the month. And that we're a bunch of us are preparing to go to DWeb Camp next week. So we're having it tonight. And we appreciate your participation. And basically, if you're not familiar with Desert Blockchain and Desert Blockchain Camp, we are basically a community supported and funded organization. We're the largest blockchain community in Arizona. And we basically invite people to join us as Desert Blockchain citizens for $10 a month. And you do that through Patreon. There should be the links in the YouTube video and also in the meetup that you join. So that's a little introduction. Tonight, we're going to do a quick introduction to blockchain. And then I'll introduce you to Rawad Habib, who is the founder of the Blockchain Club and also is a professor at one of the local universities on blockchain. And we'd like to find out what you're interested in the decentralization Web3 blockchain space. So with that, any questions? Adam, welcome joining us. Do you have any questions?
I do not. I'm completely brand new to this space. I was kind of joining to see if this would be like a good introduction or not. So
awesome. Well, welcome. So let me do a little screen share and I'll walk through a quick introduction to blockchain.
Actually,
I'm sorry, what's that, Rawad?
I have prepared an intro to blockchain presentation still labeled for UAT, but actually it's ready to go. So,
okay, do you want to do that one?
yes, just give me a minute.
Okay.
Just try
I will
to,
stop the screen share then.
yeah, I'll try just to download it first.
Cool. So let me tell you a little bit about Rawad while he's preparing the introduction. And Rawad is fairly new to the state of Arizona, and he joined one of the local universities as their blockchain professor and instructor. And he has extensive experience in the blockchain realm, and he's he has a degree in, I believe, computer science and codes, and has become active with Desert Blockchain. And we appreciate your participation, Rawad. And basically, he has started an organization that is interested in doing training for youth as well as corporate clients and so forth. It's called the Blockchain Club. And I will do the screen sharing again and show your meetup, Rawad, so that folks get an idea as to what it is and what it looks like. And you can join that on meetup as well. And Rawad is planning to do schedule some corporate training classes and so forth. And there we go. So this is what the Blockchain Club looks like on Meetup. And I invite you to join as a member there so you can receive information about the Blockchain Club. And yeah, so that's it. Are you ready to go, Rawad?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Cool. Okay, you can take it over. Go for it.
Yeah, am I sharing the right screen? Sharing it.
Yes, you're sharing the right screen, shows the blockchain club.
Okay, so now it's sharing, right? Hey, I just want to say also, working on the blockchain club, which is a startup here in the heart of Phoenix, who cares to educate people about the blockchain. I'm fairly new here to Phoenix. I'm just trying to work closely with the Desert Blockchain with Jay with this startup as well. That's our website where we offer classes here. At the classes we go over on blockchain coding and blockchain architecture, blockchain essentials for financial application. Also, I'm interested to do some blockchain for business corporate training, and that is our website. You can reach out to me using here the contact us form and a phone number as well. I have prepared this presentation for some training, staff training at UAT. So that's me. I'm Rawad Habib, and I'm a blockchain professor and software developer. I work at the University of Advancing Technology. I'm specialized with blockchain and Web3. I'm fairly new to Phoenix and to UAT. It's not even been like a year for me here. And in this presentation, I'll try to go over the big question. What is a blockchain? Adam, I think you really don't have deep experience with blockchain, right?
Yeah, I don't have any hands-on experience with it. I have I'll call it a decent overview, like understanding of it, in that the way I understand blockchain is it's basically like hashing, but for consensus to make sure that multiple places are keeping the same transaction ledger, basically, in order to make sure that once some action has been taken, a lot of people know that it has, and they can prove it. And that way, like, you can't say, oh no, I didn't do this thing, or oh no, the thing didn't happen. You're like, no, we have a lot of people that did this all at the same time, and they can prove it that way. That's about all I kind of understand. I know that there's some like contracts and stuff that you can do with it, but that's about where my understanding kind of drops off.
Okay, yeah, what you talked about is the consensus in blockchain, and that's the heart of the blockchain. That's like, where are we at now at this moment? Now, that's what consensus is. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I just asked you this, I can know like where to start from for me. I will just start just talking about two different concepts called the digital currency versus cryptocurrency. So digital currency they and cryptocurrency, they may be interchangeable terms, but they are like two different things. Digital currency, it refers to any currency that exists online, like all the numbers in our bank accounts that are actually digital currency. So the total amount of dollars is, it's pretty big in a bank. What we have printed out on the green paper, they're just small portion of the digital currency of the dollar. But the cryptocurrency, it is something else. Cryptocurrency, it is the currency that leverage the blockchain database. So let's just imagine Chuck and Cheese. So when you go inside Chuck and Cheese, I think first of all you go and you buy some Chuck and Cheese money, right? But inside that, if you just go between all these games that are over there, if you like buy things, you can't use USD. You need to use the chuck and cheese money. So that's the chuck and cheese coin. Let's say that's what leverage chuck and cheese. Also, we'll start to say to define what is a ledger, because later we will know that a blockchain, it is a distributed ledger. So ledger, from the definition from the dictionary, it will tell you it's a represent the record keeping system for a company's financial data. It provides a record of each financial transaction that takes place during the life of an operating company. So the ledger, it's the evolution of the, like back in old days, or they just created the cash register. There was like a little book, little notebook in the small markets. Like whenever you go and buy something, the owner over there who works will write on some sort of paper, like the whole transactions they did. So at the end of the day, they just can go over how much cash they should have had and how much like items they sold. So that is a ledger. Ledger, it's nothing but the record of financial transactions. And the blockchain, it is a distributed ledger. Distributed ledger is database that is consensually shared and synchronized across multiple sites, institutions, or geographies, accessible by multiple people. It allows transaction to have public witnesses. That's also a power of blockchain. So now it's not just a bank, it's not just a certain company who has the ledger, it has like just copy of transactions. And blockchain just made it very transparency. So everyone can have the whole ledger, the whole list of transactions. So now that's what we mean by distributed ledger. Distributed ledger means they are not on one central machine, one central like bank. They are all over the place. So a blockchain is a decentralized ledger of all transaction across peer-to-peer network. So all what we see here, all these computers, I can call them as nodes. Everyone here can run some sort of software to run the blockchain on it. So the ledger now, the whole transaction, they are not just inside one bank, one machine, one computer, one person. They are shared, a whole copy of it shared on each node of these nodes. Using this technology, participants can confirm the transactions without the need for a central clearing authority. Another more technical definition of blockchain. Blockchain is an immutable database, and you cannot manipulate data that's already in the blockchain. Later, we will see that Adam, if I'm sending you some transaction, sending you like $100. So I will do the transaction. This transaction, it will just go and swim in some pool waiting for miners, one of the miners to mine this transaction. And one of these miners, whenever they mine this transaction, it will just go and stick on a blockchain forever. We cannot get back to it and modify it after we do the transaction. Hash values is a unique value identifying one block. It depends on the block content. So each block has its unique hash value, and it's identifying this block only. what is hashing in blockchain? So the blockchain, it's a public ledger. It's immutable ledger and it's public ledger. However, I need to store social security numbers, transaction confirmations, bank accounts. So while it is in public, I will just need to hide data in it. So that's why I use hashing in it. So hashing refers to the transformation and generation of input data of any links into a string of a fixed size, which is performed by a specific algorithm. The most used and secure algorithm like Bitcoin use now is SHA-256, which is secure hashing algorithm 256. So I have plain text here, Rawad St. Adam, $100, J St. Rawad, $150, something like that. So I go and I using a hash function, I get into hash text. That's what I'm gonna be storing the blockchain. It's public, it's transparent, it's immutable, but it's also secure. This picture came here by mistake. We'll get back to it. So an example of SHA-256, if the input is just my name, that's the output of it. And you can see that if I just type my name, small letter R and H, which is the same meaning, just different letters, I get, if you just compare this hash to this hash, you will see that they are exactly different. They're very different. There is nothing unusual in it. They're not similar to each other. So hash, it's fixed lengths. If I just try to hash R, just R, will give me the same number of characters. It's fixed lengths. But what I know is two things. First of all, if I always hash same input, it will give me the same output. Always hash. The other thing, it's irreversible engineering. If I give you the hash, there is no way for you to know the input of it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I'm a fan of the fact that hashes can't be reversed. It's a useful tool.
Yes, so we cannot back engineer the hash. What I know is this input will always get this output. And if I give you this output, there is no way you can get the input. You cannot guess it. So it's, first of all, it's shared ledger. And this ledger is append only. So whenever we do transaction, this transaction need to be weighed, to be mined. Whenever it mined, it will get into the ledger which it is distributed between nodes. It's permissionless, which it is. No one needs authority to use a blockchain. So where users can remain anonymous and no one entity controls the blockchain. So now, because of the political situation in Russia and Ukraine, like Russia cannot access the European banking system, something like that. So we know in centralized system that they go according to political changes. But we know in a blockchain that they are permissionless. Anyone from anywhere, they just have some sort of wallet they can access the blockchain. Smart contracts. A smart contract is an agreement or set of rules that govern a business transaction. It is stored on the blockchain. It's executed automatically as part of transaction. So where this Rawat sent Adam $100 transaction, where is this one will go? I'll write it inside smart contract, which is the program runs on a blockchain. So I execute it. Consensus. So that's all parties agree to the network verified transactions. Blockchain have various consensus mechanisms, including proof of stake, multi-signature, and proof of work. In centralized world, the head of bank, the council of CEO, blah, blah, they decide on policies, they decide on consensus. They decide and take decisions. But in distributed world like blockchain, we will still need a way to do consensus, to vote on things, take decisions on things. That's what consensus is. The Bitcoin use proof of work. Ethereum, they changed from proof of work to proof of stake. Depends each blockchain. We're not gonna go on a lot inside consensus, but like proof of work, miners will be competing with each other to solve some sort of equation so they can mine transactions and get a reward of it. And that's why proof of work needs a lot of hardware. It needs a lot of power. While in proof of stake, you just go and you stake certain amount, let's say, of Ethereum, and you run the software over there. And if they just feel that if you're trying to manipulate anything, they will kick you out and you lose the amount you staked. That's the way behind it. Actually, this is here, that's a picture of smart contract. Using here Remix online compiler. I write code here, just start to say that Pragma Solidity, I'm using this version of Solidity, which is the programming language to write smart contract who they are EVM compatible Ethereum virtual machine. So this one here, I'll write here inside it, define some stuff, then say A sent B $100, B sent D $100, something like that. And I run it and execute it on the blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain. Any questions so far?
Is that a working example that you can kind of walk through, or
So this one here, it's a long code. I just snapped a picture of
it's
it to
just a snippet,
show
okay.
you. Yeah, to show you what smart contract is. What smart contract is nothing but code I execute. It's just a program. Instead of not sure what's your background, let's say Java virtual machine, you write code, you run it in Java virtual machine, we translate it into something else. Here, this one here, I try to execute it on the Ethereum virtual machine. Define stuff here. This we have some modifiers. Later, I will be having some functions.
Very cool.
Hey, Rawad, can you zoom into that a little bit? It sounds like Adam wants to take a look at the code even
I can show
I mean,
you
yeah,
something.
it was hoping was that he like has that somewhere that we could like kind of run through or something. Just because it looks like a snippet, but if there's something we can, I don't know, jump around a little bit, it'd help a lot more.
Do you have that on GitHub or anything, Rawad?
This one here, no, this one is coming from That's My Remix.
No.
And I have here like vending machine.
Okay,
Um,
can we take a look at that?
Yeah, so that's a vending machine with
There you go. Maybe
and
one or two more, please. That's much better.
so here Pragma Solidity, I'm just saying which version of Solidity I'm using here because this programming language has a lot of developers who always work on it, making enhancements on it. Sometimes I have to define which version exactly I'm using, but sometimes they may do some updates will affect previous written smart contracts. So again, it's a mutable machine. Whenever I go and I run this one on Ethereum blockchain, I cannot change it. That's why I define which Solidity version. Using
Adam-
the key.
Adam, have you seen Solidity code before? Sounds like you code.
Yeah, well, yeah, I do have a coding background, but I haven't dealt with Solidity before. Just to kind of get an understanding of how this is kind of working. So a contract is kind of like the top level object here. It's the item that if you handed this to someone else or if you like put this out there, someone could call this contract, kind of like a function.
So Ethereum, Solidity, it's a contract-based programming language. So we need to have a contract here. Contract has contract name, it opens in line 5, it closes in line 27. So everything it should be inside here.
Yeah, but like, is this something that like you would you can basically append to the Ethereum blockchain and
correct.
someone else could come by and like recall that basically, or would they like that you're putting it out there and someone has the opportunity to fulfill it? Like, could I come by and like if that's on the blockchain, could I come by and say, hey, I want to like access this vending machine or I want a vending machine contract, and it looks like I pay 1 Ethereum and I get a cupcake, I think.
It really depends. Probably I can do that, yes, but like for a local, let's say local vending machine is here in town. So I can deploy this one here and I can be the owner. And you guys, you can be as a customers to come and just talk to this smart contract, get your actual items, like pay me, get your items from a vending machine.
Okay, so does it kind of end up being like a really simple like API then? Like in that it's not like an actual like machine interface, but
It
like
could be IP, it could be API because you can always keep calling it from outside of it.
okay, cool. Okay, that makes a bit more sense.
So all the NFTs, they're just some sort of smart contract, just got deployed. And whenever you, let's say, change owner of it, if you go, you buy it, you basically just call that smart contract on the blockchain and just buy that NFT, changing the owner of it.
Adam, do you code in JavaScript?
I've done some coding in JavaScript before. My main language is currently I guess are going to be Python, Golang. I'm getting into Rust. I have a pretty solid background in Bash, PowerShell, and a few others. I've dealt with like C++ and C for a little while, way back when. Done Java, done JavaScript. I've done just about anything at this point.
Yeah, I don't code in Solidity, but I do code in JavaScript. But Solidity is basically inspired by JavaScript. So if you, all those languages, I'm guessing you could probably pick up Solidity in fairly short order. And there's a lot of tutorials out there and courses where you know, like Introduction to Solidity and so forth, where you can start to experiment with it. So if
Oh
you
yeah, yeah.
if you've got an interest in this, I would recommend you just kind of Google, you know, some Solidity tutorials and start to play around with it, because you can run these on testnet. I don't know if you're aware that there's a mainnet, which is live, real money, but then there's also test nets where you can experiment and so forth.
I did not know that. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you'll start with the test net. You can do whatever you want, no harm, no foul. And then once you're comfortable enough with the test net, then you can go to mainnet, you know, with small amounts of value and so forth. And that's the best way to get introduced.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to pick that up at some point.
And there's also, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rawad, but there are platforms that make it a little easier to interface with the Ethereum blockchain. That is that correct, Rawad?
Yeah, that is correct. There are many like Crypto Zombie maybe, or they can offer you like solid tutorials, but also at the same time, since you know some coding, I'll just tell you go and start with Solidity documentation. That's where you should be starting from.
Had you heard of Solidity before, Adam?
Yeah, in passing. I knew it was related to blockchain, but I wasn't really familiar with what it was really. This is filled in a lot of blanks for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Solidity, it's the programming language for Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum blockchain is the biggest blockchain where you can work on it, develop on it, because it has a lot of developing tools.
And then the overall computation construct for Ethereum is called the Ethereum virtual machine. Is that correct, Rawad?
Correct. So this code works on GVM, on the Ethereum virtual machine, EVM. Some
EVM.
EVM, yeah, blockchain compatible.
Yeah, you can see it in the second paragraph there. If you can go back to that. Okay, and just zoom in just a little bit, Rawad. The second paragraph says Solidity is a curly, no, up.
The Ethereum virtual machine.
No, go up to the top. Let's see. And you were right there. Anyway, it talked about how it relates to C++ and Python and so forth. Anyway, but I think, Adam, based upon what little bit you've mentioned, Solidity would be a good place to start and just play around with it a little bit on testnet. There it is. So it says Solidity is a curly bracket language designed to target Ethereum virtual machine It is influenced by C++, Python, JavaScript. So, you're right there, Adam. You can find more details about which languages Solidity's been inspired by in the language influences section. So,
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check out the docs later. Yeah,
That's what it should be. Yeah.
this looks really straightforward.
yeah, and then down a couple more paragraphs, it says, no, right, no, not, no. It says, with Solidity, you can create contracts for uses such as voting, crowdfunding, blind auctions, and multi-signature wallets, all of which starts to open up lots and lots of use cases. Does that make sense, Adam?
Yeah, like the things that it mentions there, the use cases, voting, crowdfunding, blind auctions, that all seems pretty straightforward as far as like what I understand. Blockchain and contracts, like smart contracts are aimed towards. So
Do you have any particular applications you're interested in creating or using? I mean,
yeah, I
use cases?
guess I really honestly have to get my hands on before I can, I guess, talk intelligently about it. But if I were to have like a use case that I would try and see if I could finagle it to work with. I work in forensics right now, and I'm in the process of helping to build out a like an investigation kit. It's basically just Kubernetes with a whole bunch of tools on it. But figuring out how to be able to like ingest things and see if there's a way or like a use case that having a like a hyperledger running inside of our kit or in like a shared kit space or something like that. And if it could, I'm not entirely sure what I could use it for, but if there's some sort of way that having that sort of a consensus might give me either some way to control how I analyze things, or to be able to go and do some analysis that consensus based applications would be able to support, that I wouldn't be able to get easily otherwise.
Do you, are you talking about forensics, digital forensics or?
Yeah, digital forensics. Yeah.
Okay, so sort of like cybersecurity
Mhm.
forensics?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I would highly recommend that you just, search Google cybersecurity and blockchain and
Mhm.
just see what other people are doing with, digital forensics in the cybersecurity realm, because I bet they're doing some interesting things. And sorry to interrupt you, Rawad, but I think this is kind of what we were interested in pursuing, was to find out what people are interested in. But in terms of, storing the data, there's two things that you might be interested in, Adam. Number one is non-fungible tokens. You could, wrap a non-fungible token around particular chunks of code and so forth. And then basically that would serve as like an authentication of the code. So sort of like putting a notary stamp on the code, and people could look at it and say, okay, well, Adam's basically put his stamp of authenticity on this code and nobody's changed it. So I don't know if that would be of interest to you, but that's something you might play around with. The other thing is, have any feedback on that use case, Adam?
How would that differ from like just being able to keep like git hashes?
Hashes are fine. The difference between a hash and an NFT is, I mean, they both serve somewhat of the same purpose, to say, okay, I know that this chunk of code is at least what I think it is. But an NFT has more of like your personal thumbprint on it. So, you know, it also involves the ability to do things with cryptography, where you could give people, you know, maybe a multi-sig access to the NFT. There might be like trailing things that you could do. So this isn't necessarily in forensics, but one of the cool things about non-fungible tokens is you can put like a trailing royalty associated with a non-fungible token, such that when the ownership changes from one you know, private key to another, a royalty is paid back. Now in forensics, you might be able to track who has, you know, maybe modified the code from one owner to the next. And I'm just kind of riffing. I don't I don't know much about forensics, but
Oh no, that's an interesting idea. That's not something I'd thought of before.
yeah.
Like, okay.
And the
Yeah,
other thing,
cool.
the other thing I'd recommend you, if you're not familiar with it, is the interplanetary file system. Are you familiar with that?
I don't think so.
So the interplanetary file system is a decentralized file system that has some really interesting characteristics to it. And most of the, like the non-fungible tokens that are minted on Ethereum and other blockchains, the NFTs, the digits, you know, the digital store is stored using the interplanetary file system. So it's kind of the decentralized file system of choice in order to house not only NFTs, but all sorts of data that makes it more resilient, has some interesting characteristics to it. So.
Okay, that sounds like a really interesting topic then. If you're just trying to figure out what would be interesting, for yeah, just going from the naming of it, that would be a huge draw to anyone working in forensics that's trying to get ahead of the curve.
Mhm.
Like most of our work goes into, or most of our like I guess knowledge base goes into understanding the differences between different file systems, and being able to figure out, okay, well, where are the artifacts for whatever's happening in these different file systems, so we can figure out what occurred, and be able to trace back and kind of rebuild the story. So being able to track anything there or being able to understand how that works would be phenomenal. And understanding like where it might be implemented or why we might need to look out for it.
Yeah, and you know what you can do is you can take a file, encrypt it, and then add it to the interplanetary file system, and then pretty much anybody can access it. And then you know, only the ones that have the private key obviously could you know, decrypt it, and you can do multi-signature constructs and things like that. So I would highly recommend you take a look at the interplanetary file system. It's ipfs.io, I believe, is the introduction. But like the entire archive of the Vatican is stored using IPFS. There's huge amounts of genetic information, scientific information, just crazy stuff is going on with the interplanetary file system. And they just did a deal with Lockheed Martin to run the interplanetary file system in satellites in space. So yeah, I don't think that's actually ipfs.com, Rawad. I think if you put in a .io, you'll actually go to the yeah, there you go.
This is one here, up there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. That's the actual website. So yeah, browse through that. There's a ton of videos on it. And it plays very well with Ethereum and other blockchain constructs. And, you know, for housing and access to data like you're probably dealing with, you know, I think you'll find some really interesting use cases with this. And again, I would also just do a search on IPFS and forensics. So see what other people are doing with it. Make sense?
Yes, definitely. That's another good resource.
And cool enough, I pulled before we started today this certified cryptocurrency investigator. I have a friend who did this certificate. So now there is big need for a cryptocurrency for investigation, forensics. So
Yeah.
it's
And-
yeah, it's good.
A huge area that you might be a new direction for your career, Adam, would be in smart contract auditing. There's a huge need for people who know how to audit smart contracts. It
Yeah.
usually involves some, you know, the requirement for a pretty decent knowledge in cryptography, but that's an area that it sounds like might be of interest to you.
Yeah, I've seen some jobs out there already asking for it, and when they do show the salaries, it's a little bit disgusting. So
Yeah. So, well, let's see, where are we at? We got about 12 minutes left. What would you like to, what would you like to talk about, Adam? And Rawad, were you done with your presentation, or did I?
This is almost, I think I can spend another 5-10 minutes. No, actually, I'm almost done. Almost done it. I think like 1 minute or 2 minutes. I want to say the benefits and unknown of blockchains. It's enhanced security, it's immutable, public machine, transparency, instant traceability, increased efficiency, automation, cost reduction. Don't need middlemen. I don't need bankers. I don't have to wait if I did the transaction on Saturday. I don't need to wait till Monday morning. The banks will open. Yeah, that's all benefits. And the unknown, it's complex technology. It's a new technology. It's still immature. It's still young. Still working on it. Regulatory implication, competing platforms like many of these blockchains platforms just competing with each other, which is benefit and disadvantage at the same time. Yeah, I think this one here, it will summarize how blockchain work and just end with it. So whenever there is a transaction, this transaction just wait for some miner or validator to validate this transaction. Whenever it gets validated, we'll just go and get staked on the blockchain. So blockchain, it's a ledger, it's a big ledger, and it's growing. All these blocks are just sticking to each other, just growing to a big thing. After that, the transaction will be completed. That's everything I have. I hope I didn't bore you out, guys.
Oh, that was great. Um, if we still have time, like I guess
Sure.
the only stuff like that I would like to hear more about would just be like anything about how Web3 works from like a high level perspective, and then any personal thoughts on tools for being able to implement uh any sort of ledger system, so like Hyperledger or something similar.
Okay, let me address that if I might. So Web3, in my view, is basically pushes the control to the edges, to the peers, versus Web2. There's a lot of control among, the major cloud providers and social media and all that sort of thing, where we really don't know what's happening with our data. But Web3, we get much greater control with our data, and it's more peer-to-peer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think it's pretty exciting. In terms of, pathways to get started, it sounds to me like, I think if you started playing around with Solidity, you would find some a good introduction to what's available in Web3 and so forth. But Hyperledger is generally considered to be sort of the enterprise platform or blockchain construct, or the ability to build blockchains for the corporate and enterprise level. I don't know if you know the foundation, that the Hyperledger Foundation, it's under the Linux Foundation, a lot of corporate participation there and so forth. I personally like Stellar a lot, stellar.org, and they are in the process of adding native smart contracts. That should be done by the end of the year. And basically, Stellar, once they have native smart contracts, they should be as attractive, or I think more attractive, than Ethereum. And the current attraction of Stellar is that it's very, very inexpensive to do transactions. It's like 1/10,000th of a cent. And you've got single block finality, meaning you don't have to wait multiple blocks to be comfortable that the transaction is going to stick. And it's like every 6 seconds. So very quick single block finality and so forth. And they also have the ability to claw back transactions, which is really nice. So we at Desert Blockchain, we've kind of gravitated towards Stellar. But a lot of people love Ethereum because it was the first, global computation, Turing complete, decentralized computation platform. And there's a huge following. There's a ton of resources out there for Ethereum. So does that kind of answer your question, Adam? Or
Yeah, that was excellent. That gave me a lot more of a understanding, kind of filled in blanks, I guess, more than anything. But yeah.
yeah. The other thing I'd recommend you do is, there's a lot of hackathons online
Mhm.
where you can just hop in, even if you know nothing about Solidity or smart contracts or whatever. You can jump onto a team, and that's a great way to learn. cuts down a lot of frustration because you can ask others, you know, how do I do this?
Mhm.
And like the Stellar Development Foundation, they put a lot of money on the table to introduce it's called the Sora bond, which is their native smart contract. So they've got $100 million fund to their basically dispensing over the next 2 years to encourage people to look at their smart contract functionality. And we've actually gotten funding. Some of our projects have gotten funding through Desert Blockchain, through the Stellar Community Fund. But the Stellar Community Fund, which is run by the Stellar Development Foundation. But you can get like $150,000 to do a 3-month project.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I thought you might be interested in that.
Wow.
So check that out. But there's like same holds true with IPFS and their coin, which is called Filecoin, and Ethereum. There's all kinds of hackathons with significant prize money out there, and so it's a great way to learn, and you can get funding. And when I'm saying funding, Adam, that's non-equity funding. That's a grant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. That's not, do a beauty contest in front of some quote angel investors and then, you're wrangling over equity. I'm talking about, all of a sudden you got money in your account with no strings attached, pretty much.
That's very nice. Wow. Okay.
So, yeah.
Huh.
Another thing, so in Web3, and you should look this up, and I'll mention it since, this is recorded and so forth. The United Arab Emirates on February 15th announced in its hub HUB 71, 2 billion with a B in funding for Web3 developers. So you can go to, if you're willing to go to the United Arab Emirates, they will give golden visas, not only to the developer, but their entire family, subsidized housing, healthcare, office space, funding projects. It's crazy. But
Wow.
I bring that up because to me, it's a signal in terms of what the appetite is for developers that know something about Web3.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's a lot. Wow. Okay. I guess I'll focus a bit more that way.
Yeah, but I mean, also explore like, just you can put in Soroban, which is the Japanese word for abacus, and then funding or whatever, and you'll see the 100 million that was announced last October. But Stellar Community Fund, it has constant rounds of activity, and so there's significant dollars out there without any equity strings attached.
I did not know that. That is cool to learn. I'm gonna have to take a look.
So we're at the top of the hour. Adam, I appreciate you joining us and chatting with us. And it sounds like you've got an interest, and I think you could definitely apply some Web3 constructs to your endeavors in forensics. And thanks for joining us, and let us know if you have any questions. We just a little plug for Desert Blockchain. We do have an open house on the second Saturday of the month in a warehouse similar to what you see behind me, and we have free pizza for that. But we also have by invitation, Saturday sessions, like from 11 to 2, but it's designed mostly for people that know how to code like you do. So you're welcome to, if you do know how to code, you're welcome to join us at our 27th Avenue and Georgia Desert Blockchain Camp. So yeah, however we can help you, we would love to. And anybody listening to this that has some coding skills, by all means, please dip your toes in the water and see what's out there, because it's pretty exciting.
You have any remote options for that stuff? Because I really doubt I'm gonna be able to make it out there.
Well, so on the Saturdays, yeah, you can join us via, we usually do Zoom, but that's for the Desert Blockchain citizens that you sign up via Patreon for $10 a month. You can have a Zoom link. And then we also do the YouTube live stream. Unfortunately, tonight's live stream crashed, so we lost the connection, but yeah, there is a little bit of remote participation. So, okay.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, Rawad, thank you. Very good. And we'll wrap it up for tonight. And on the second Saturday in July, we'll have our open house, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And both in person and live streamed and Zoom. And then on the fourth Wednesday of July, we will likely have another session via live stream and Zoom for this Desert Blockchain citizens. All righty. Have a good evening, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the future. Bye.
Thank you. It was good talking to you. Thank you. Good night.